Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. Today is Wednesday, January 3rd, 2024. We get together with our distribution partners most weekday mornings at 8 o'clock Central, talk about strategies, tips, techniques, share success stories, and support each of you. Yesterday, we had a really big announcement talking about our 2024, in other words, this year's campaign, which is to develop affinity relationships. As we described yesterday, an affinity relationship is where we go to a sponsoring organization. That sponsoring organization we offer a revenue share with, and then they help us promote it to their sphere of influence. All of you who are a branch should have the branch onboarding documents, which include an editable template, which we call the workshop proposal. Well, the workshop proposal is part of the Affinity setup. So what we talked about yesterday is some of our favorite organizations, some of our targeted organizations for this year would be more of VOTEC programs. Those programs where individuals enroll, they pay a fee, and they're getting some specialized career training. We talked about truck driving schools and cosmetology schools and massage therapy schools and such yesterday. So if you missed yesterday's training, I encourage you to go back and view it. What we're wanting to do is develop a state director, someone that's going to lead the state, and then that doesn't exclude others from being involved, but we need a leader in each state that's really managing and coordinating the rollout of the affinity relationships. So we did fill 5 or 6 states yesterday, thus most of them are still open. If you're interested in being a state director, let us know. If you're not interested in being a state director, it doesn't lock you out. It just means that once we have a state director, we'll put you under him or her, and then they'll help you implement. Today's discussion, we're going to go back to the chapmanloanprogram.org, our main website, which should be shown on the screen. And I'm going to ask you a few questions. I want to have an interactive discussion. So the first question I have for each of you is if you were to predict what percentage of small businesses want or need funding. So we know that there's probably not 100% of anything. So there's some proportion, some percentage of small business owners that want or need funding to start, to grow, to reach their potential. What I'd like you to do is just each type in to the Q&A box a percentage. I'm curious what your impression is. So Adam says 80, Ken says 75, Trevor says 85, David says 85. So I'd like everyone to just take a moment and type in a percent. Because certainly not all small business owners want to need capital, but many do. And of course, depending upon who you're asking, if you stood outside the bank and asked, probably most of them would say yes, because banks rarely approve small businesses as they are. Okay, we have a bunch of different responses, which is great. I think the lowest that I see is 50%. The highest that I see is 90%. Probably the average is around 75 or 80. So fine. So let's just go with that. Let's be conservative. I think collectively we would agree, on average, about 3 out of 4 small business owners want or need more capital to start, to grow, to reach their potential. So let's, from our very informal poll, let's go with that being true. So about 3 out of 4. So with that being said, what do you think is the number one reason? Don't give me all the reasons, that'd take too long. But what do you think is the number one reason that keeps most small business owners from getting funding? Because we know there's banks and credit unions and alternative lenders all over the place, and logistically, physically, as well as virtually online. But if there's 3 out of 4 entrepreneurs want and need capital, and there's all kinds of lenders, what's the number one reason Now, Adam said not qualifying, and so that's okay, but I need to be more specific. So don't tell me that they don't qualify. Tell me what it is that primarily is keeping them from not qualifying. So I want to be more specific. What's the number one constraint? Because it's not that they're oblivious to all the banks and credit unions and lenders, right? So it's not ignorance of where to go, but what is it that's keeping most of them from getting funding? So I'm curious. And so if all of you will just take a moment, just type a sentence or a phrase, what's the number one reason that's keeping most of these small business owners from being able to get business funding? Okay, so we have a number of different answers, and it ranges from what Adam said of just simply not qualifying, but then we asked to constrain that. Ken said that their entity setup is flawed. David says lack of knowledge. Eric says inadequate business credit. Mr. Connell, who's a CPA, says that often they don't have a business EIN. Adam came back and said that often they don't have the credibility, which is kind of a broad statement. Trevor says they don't have the knowledge how to navigate. All right. So now my last question, and then we'll get going, is if you and I have a solution, we call it the formula for funding. It's shared here where we see the startup grant and the business funding package. And so this is the formula for funding. Absolutely. So let's go back. So we were saying that about 3 out of 4 small businesses want and need capital to start to grow to reach their potential. Most of them don't qualify, and this is a proven model to help them qualify. Why is it that your phones aren't just blowing up? Why is it that your email is just not filled with inquiries this morning? Why aren't you just maxed out in the number of prospective small business participants contacting you and saying, hey, Sally, I heard about the grant. I'm interested in learning more about the startup package. Or hey, Ken, heard about the grant. Understand it can help any small business get qualified for funding. Tell me about the small business funding package. So last question I have, I won't keep burdening you, but I'd like you to type a quick phrase or sentence, if you will. Why aren't you just inundated with leads? Why aren't you just so busy responding to inquiries and enrolling clients? Where's the breakdown? Where is the breakdown? So I'm going to give you a moment to respond. I see a number of answers that I would agree with, and Eric, for instance, and Mr. Connell both said the same thing, and others are similar. A lack of awareness. They don't know that you and I have a resource to help them. They've got a problem. You and I have a solution. It's fairly priced. It's legitimate. It's proven. It's legal, but people don't know about it. So if we're looking to help people and generate income in the year ahead, or even in the day ahead in the short term, we're going to have to do a better job of getting the word out because our marketing seems to not be working. So what could we do to fix the marketing, assuming that we want to go help these 3 out of 4 small businesses that want and need funding, and assuming that you want to make money by helping them? Because all of these pieces are aligned, right? We're not looking to benefit at someone else's expense. We want to help them have a fundable business. And from that, you make $1,250 on the front end, which isn't a whole lot, but ideally we would do that on average once a day. And then you choose what you want your performance fee to be on the back end. Most of you are going between 10 and 20%. So there's certainly strong economic rewards. So again, what many of you said is there's just not enough awareness. The marketing that you're doing for many of you is ineffective. So let's step back and talk about what we've seen that works. And then you tell me why you're not trying it. We've talked several times, but most recently last week, I believe, about BNI, Business Networking International. Again, I have no financial interest in them. I'm not pitching this because I benefit, not at all. But we talked about the concept of what we call professional networking, whereby you can go to bni.com. You can find where there are local meetings. Some of the meetings are in person, some are online, some are hybrid, where they meet online 3 times a month and in person once a month. So it varies. And you can go to any of those meetings twice for free. So you can't tell me, hey, I don't have enough money to go to BNI, because it costs nothing for your first 2 meetings. We talked about that at BNI. What do you have? You have professionals sitting around the table, ranging from accountants and bankers and business coaches, that could be extraordinary referral partners of yours. You could refer people to them when you have clients that need their services, and they could certainly refer to you when they have clients that's looking to become fundable. So let's stop there and debrief on BNI. Who has in the past 30 days gone to a BNI meeting, whether it be in person or online? How many of you, well, I'll calculate, but just if you can respond yes if you've gone. You don't need to say no if you didn't, because we can imply that, infer that. If you can just type the word yes, if you've gone to a BNI meeting in the past 30 days since we've been talking about it. Because I tell you, without doubt, it's one of the most effective ways at getting referrals. Not the only way, but one of the most effective ways. And it costs you nothing to go to any, what they call chapter, for 2 times. So this is not a money issue. It's not a money issue. And they have I prefer the in-person meetings, in-person setup, but they do have the online. So you can't even tell me that I don't have transportation, because the online is an option. BNI.com. I'll go type it up for you if you need. We had a separate training on it. BNI.com. As it comes up here. BNI.com. So you can go to BNI. It tells you getting started is easy. Just follow the instructions. Again, I don't work for BNI. I don't make money off of this, but I know that it works. And we talked about the in-person, online, and hybrid. So if you want to make more money this year, this month, this week, tomorrow, or soon at least, BNI is a good option, because you'd be sitting around individuals that are professionals. Again, there's usually an accountant, there's usually a banker, there's usually a commercial realtor, and so forth. And these people could learn from you about what is the formula for funding, how you can help them. And they will refer to you. They will refer to you. And you know what they expect when they refer to you? No commission whatsoever. That's not the model. The BNI model is not to pay for referrals. Now, they would like you to refer back to them, but that's great, right? Because if you sign up a client, maybe they don't have an accountant. Well, you could refer them to an accountant. Or maybe they don't have a business banker. You could refer them to the business banker. It's not conflicting. So if we agree that 3 out of 4 small businesses on average looking for capital, most of them are not qualified. You and I have the resources to help anyone become fundable, to become qualified. We must find a more effective way to create awareness. And I believe that BNI is one of those that any of us could do, or at least you could try. So out of all of you that's on the webinar, we have 326 of you on right now. There's only a handful that has given BNI a try. So I don't know what else to do other than to say, if you're not successful or generating the income that you want, helping the number of people that you want to help, give BNI a try, right? It's there. Just go to bni.com. I don't need to explain anything else. They have their own system. Getting started is easy. Now, then yesterday we talked about affinity marketing, which I started today's call. Affinity marketing is great. So now we're approaching what I would call key influencers. And it could be as simple as a church or a chamber of commerce, could be any type of business organization, but they have a sphere of influence. And when we went back to why aren't you hitting your numbers, one of you said, who was it? Let me go back. It was Ken. Ken says he's fishing in the desert, not in the ocean. Yeah, so some of you, no offense, but whatever you're doing to generate leads is just not effective. And if you don't have a flow of leads, you're not going to have a flow of clients. And if you don't have a flow of clients, you're not going to be helping people and making money. So you need to do something different, right? So one thing would be BNI. Another would be we are looking for some more state directors. If you're interested in a leadership position, let us know. Take that leadership role, and then you can coordinate all the affinity groups in the state. And then, of course, if you don't want to be a state director, that's okay. Once we have a state director in charge, we'll introduce them to you, and then they'll help you coordinate that in your state. There's many other ways of generating clients, but I think those are the two superior approaches. In general, though, what I think should be considering is leading through education. So the 10 mistake curriculum that we teach, and that's what hopefully you're out teaching. You can teach it in person or online, is a remarkably effective way in a non-sales format to help people understand what typically keeps small businesses from getting funding and what to do about it, which it ends up dovetailing back, of course, into the startup business funding package, but in a very professional, non-sales oriented way. So what you want to be, in my mind, you're not trying to find clients, you're trying to find people to teach. And you can teach this formally or informally, in person or online, teach individuals or groups. That's up to you. But if you follow this mindset, don't worry about looking for people to sign up. We don't need to look for people to sign up. They will sign up once they're educated. But if they're not educated, then they don't realize that you and I have the formula for funding. So one of the simplest things that you could do is get a Zoom account if you don't have it, and then start scheduling, I recommend on a reoccurring basis, to teach this curriculum. Now, we should have provided you the editable PowerPoint. If you don't have that, let us know and we'll get it to you. Now, some of you are just playing the recording, so you kind of open your Zoom session, you play the on-demand version, and then you close it. So that's one option. The other is for you to actually teach it live. That's up to you. But if you were to set up on a daily basis, so every day that you have a specific time of the day or multiple times of the day where you're teaching this curriculum, now you know where you're trying, you know what your next step is. For every prospect or every referral partner, your goal is to get them into your on-demand presentation. Because I can tell you, and I've done this, I've had presidents of banks come to my workshop because they wanted to see, is this real? Is this good? And the feedback you'll get from presidents of banks is, yeah, this is needed. And then they'll start referring to you. Because if you just go to a librarian or a pastor at a church, if you don't have a relationship with them, they don't really know who you are, and you can make some spiel, but rather than telling them, show them, right? Have the commitment to doing, let's say, every evening at 7 p.m., just for example, your workshop. And so as you're introducing it to referral partners, invite them to one of your daily workshops and use that as a method to explain to them what we do. So it's through this educational approach that you'll develop, I believe that you'll best develop referral partners and you'll best develop clients. Historically, 85 to 87% of the people we teach will move on and enroll into the program. So it's not 100%, but it's pretty good odds. And to me, it's a lot easier to invite people to a free webinar whereby we're teaching them about 10 mistakes that keep small businesses from getting funding versus trying to sell them something. So with that, I'm going to pause and ask questions. What questions, or answer questions, what questions do you have about what we're talking about? We must create awareness. We must be good marketers if you want, or if you want to soften it, you need to be good at community outreach. You can dress it up however you want, but you are business developers, right? And if you're not good at business developing, then you need to bring someone or some people on your team that are good, because it doesn't matter what your business is. You could be an auto repair shop, you could be a church, you could be a brothel. It doesn't matter of your industry. If you don't have good community outreach, good marketing, good business development, you'll go out of business. And some of you, I feel like you're about to go out of business, and we don't want that, because we've already said that we've got hundreds of thousands, we've got millions of small businesses that need what you and I do. And the main reason that they don't enroll is they don't know who the hell you are, and they don't know what we do. But if you follow this approach to education, you have an easy way to create that awareness. All right, Ken's asking about the cost to be a state director. We are not charging people to be a state director. So you would enroll, if you're not enrolled as a branch, as a distribution partner, that's the first step that you'd want to complete. And on chapmanloanprogram.org, right down here, you would do this. If you want to be a state director, then you'd let us know, and we'll send over an addendum. It's a simple one-page addendum. You tell us which state that you want to be the director for, and we can get that set up. But we're not charging, it's not a separate agreement, it's an addendum to the branch, but it is a leadership role, right? So we definitely, well, we don't want dabblers to be branch owners, branch offices. That's not good for us. But we especially don't want to have dabblers in a state director role. That would be horrible. Therefore, we need individuals who are actively engaged, because this is a big deal. If you were to decide to be a state director, our full expectation is that you would generate at least $100,000 a month in your branch. Not too good to be true. Absolutely believe that will be the case. So I'm not saying it has to be a full-time focus of yours, but it's a significant effort. And so I was visiting with David yesterday. He's considering becoming one of our state directors. And so in many cases, you'll probably want to build a team. Like David's considering taking on Texas. So he and I talked about, well, there's, I think, 254 counties in Texas. So what we talked about yesterday is, what if you, David, got a branch office in each county? So the first thing he'd do is go fill up the state. So he'd go recruit 250 branch offices. And as we announced yesterday, we'll pay you $250 cash for bringing on each branch. So I'm not that great at math. Let's do that real quick. So if we had 250, let's see what that is. What is that? $75,000 he would make from that? I don't know. I'd have to check the math, but I think that's about right. But he would make a ton of money just building out the branches. And then what he would do is he would manage the branches in each county to have them go out and reach out to the prospective affinity partners in their county. So as a state director, don't think that it means you have to go do all the work. You can lead a team, and we can help you build a team. So there's a lot to running a state, but there's incredible financial rewards. All right, Russell's asking about becoming a referral partner. And I know it can get confusing with all the different terms, but rather you're thinking financial literacy educator, distribution partner, opportunity. It's all one and the same. And it's right here, Russell, on chapmanloanprogram.org. It's right here. But the point is, if you become a state director, we want to work with you to have a plan and execute that plan. And that plan literally should be working through affinity relationships to generate at least $100,000 per month for your branch. So it's a big deal. It's not get rich quick. It's not like winning the lottery, but it's a big deal. So if you're up for that type of task, let us know. DeAndre is asking how to reach us. Well, DeAndre, you can see that our phone number and our email are both here. Right? So I'm on chapmanloanprogram.org. That's why when we received the grant, we were required to develop a one-page resource. So there's nowhere else to go, nowhere to get lost. We have a summary of how the grant works. It's a two-step process for participants. There's a proposal to view. There's a press release to view. Again, here to enroll. And then you have the grant resources. This is a duplicate link of this to enroll. This is to apply for financing. This is to register for the Zoom webinars like we're on right now. This is we were visiting about is the 10 mistakes. So this is what you'd be teaching or someone on your team would be teaching. So, but we'll provide it editable so you can change the messaging as you wish. Success stories, and then again, as Russell was asking, how to get plugged in. So everything's on chapmanloanprogram.org. So who has questions about getting serious, having an effective marketing plan? I know the year's ahead, but let's just cut it down to January, this month. If you don't have an effective marketing plan, let's create one. There's lots of the month left, right? We're only on the 3rd, and it's in the early morning of the 3rd. So now's the time to create a plan. If you're to ask me what the plan should be or could be, I'll tell you. I would get involved with BNI for the reasons we talked about, and I'd become a state director and I'd lead the state. Those are the two things that I would be doing if I were you. I would join BNI and I'd become a state director. How do you become a state director? Just email us and let us know. Now, do you have to become a state director? Maybe you don't have the time or the energy or the intellect to lead a larger project, then that's fine. You don't have to be. You can still refer people in, generate a great income on a very part-time basis. But you have to have leads. With no leads, there's no conversions. And if there's no conversions, there's no money. And there's no one being helped. And so we don't want people that are struggling. There's no reason to struggle. And if you wanted just the easiest way to not struggle with leads anymore, this is it. I believe this is it. Who has questions, comments, concerns that we can help you with this morning before we wrap it up? We have 3 minutes left. What we've covered is a restatement of our 2024 goal, which is to develop affinity relationships in every state, in every county, in every city, in every community. And we're looking for a leader for each state. Once we have the leaders in place, then we'll introduce those of you that want to be involved with those leaders, but you don't have to be in that capacity. We also talked about BNI. If you're just simply looking for an easy way to get referrals, because if you go to the in-person meetings, so let's say that this is you, and they'll ask you to stand up and give like a 30-second intro. So you'll have a quick intro about what we do, right? So just a real quick intro. And all these people have small business relationships that they could refer to you. She might be the banker. She might be the CPA. He might be the business attorney. She might be the business real estate agent. This might be the business coach. I mean, literally the room is filled with people that are there of the mindset to refer to you. But if you're not in that room, they don't know that you exist. So they don't refer to you. So you don't help people, so that you don't make money. All right, so if you have any questions, I encourage you to reach out to us. Those of you that are currently distribution partners, we ask you schedule weekly one-on-one calls. So it's structured, right? It's each week we are scheduled to get together and visit. We use Calendly for that. If you don't have the Calendly link, then just email us and ask us for the Calendly link. If you need help in the short term, feel free to email or call or text, and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks, everyone, and we'll see you back tomorrow. The key, though, is to take action. Take action. If you don't take action, you're not going to help people. You're not going to make any money. So take action today. Thanks, everyone. See you tomorrow. Bye.